Right, I cannot believe I'm actually going to make a video on this. But first I want to say, like, the love I felt on that first video was incredible. I never expected that many people to actually care about that video, to actually take the time to listen to that video. And I'm so glad that people really did listen, and if it did help some people. So we know that I suffer from EUPD, so emotionally unstable personality disorder, and I feel that EUPD is one of the most under-recognised mental health disorders out there. Like, even when I was diagnosed, I had no idea what it was. I had to look into it, I've had to learn about it. I'm still learning day to day what BPD is, like how it manifests in my life, and obviously different people, it takes different forms in different people. So I've looked up the symptoms and I'm gonna share it. Obviously it's took a long time for me to get diagnosed with EUPD. Originally I was diagnosed with a form of bipolar disorder. I was diagnosed with cyclothymia, with rapid cycling. So people with bipolar disorder, their moods their moods stay for a longer period of time. So obviously, you know, bipolar is up and down, but when you're down, you can stay down for weeks, if not months. Whereas BPD, like, my moods can change within the day, they can change within the hour. I'm like a yo-yo, I'm up and down, and I never know, and it's exhausting. So this is the definition of BPD. So BPD is a condition that affects how you think, feel and interact with others. So apparently 1 in 100 people in the UK have a diagnosis of EUPD. 75% of those people will at least once in their lifetime attempt to take their own life, and 10% of those people will succeed in taking their own life. So the symptoms of BPD is abandonment issues are incredible. I get so scared that someone is going to leave me that I will leave you first. I will ghost you, I will cause an argument, I will disappear, and that is to protect myself. In my head, if you leave me, it's going to be soul destroying. So I would rather leave you first and protect that than let you leave me. This makes relationships really hard. Relationships with BPD is one of the hardest things. So there's a thing called splitting, which has taken me a long time to actually realise when I'm splitting and actually realise what splitting is. So splitting is black and white thinking. So someone without BPD can see what is called the grey area. You can see the in-between, whereas someone with BPD either idolises or hates. So I can go from idolising somebody to absolutely hating them for no reason, and it can happen at any time. And obviously, you know, the idolisation can cause someone to think I'm too attached and they can leave because of that. Whereas the hating somebody, obviously, that goes without saying, pushes a lot of people away from me. Self-identity, I never know who I am. I can literally look in the mirror and I have no idea what is looking back at me, who is looking back at me. I impulsively get tattoos, I get piercings, I've drastically changed my hair, I bleach and dye my hair as much as I can, and that is because I'm always changing myself to make myself feel better about myself, if that makes sense, for my own confidence, my self-identity. Impulsive behaviour is probably one of the worst things for me, for my BPD. I've obviously had to learn how to control impulses. So impulses are things such as self-harm, drinking, drugs, sex, smoking, money. And so for me, it's been like self-harm, money. And once I get an impulse, my mind is set on that impulse, and it is so hard to stop that impulse. It's so hard for somebody to say, like, Neve, that's a really bad idea. If I get an idea in my head, I am doing that, whether it's good or bad. Suicidal ideation is probably, it goes without saying, suicidal ideation is intense, it's scary, it's horrible. You know, you've always got this feeling of not wanting to be alive, not wanting to exist. Obviously, some days it manifests more than others, but there is always that constant feeling of not wanting to live. Obviously, depending on my mood swings and depending on my situation, depends on how I act on that suicidal ideation. Some days I can ignore it, some days I can pretend like it's not there, whereas other days I can act on that suicidal ideation, hence the 3 suicide attempts. I can literally like act on it. And the thing about suicidal ideation, so this is something that nobody, like my family, didn't realise until I'd attempted and I ended up in A&E. So I'd attempted to take my life, I'd got to hospital and I was a different person. You would not have known that an hour before I'd made an attempt on my life. I was manic, I was dancing around, I was happy. It was like I was gonna, you know, you would never have known. And that is like why some people, like, you know, when I've been to hospital, I've never been taken seriously, because I walk in there and I can't explain why I did it. I can't explain why I felt so sad, because I'm actually okay at that moment. And it's really, really, really weird. Anger is not anger with BPD. Anger is rage. And like your blood boils and nothing can calm you down. You know, it takes me weeks to calm down. If something happens and it makes me angry, 2 weeks later, I can be triggered by that and I can blow up again. And dissociation is something that is quite new to me. I've always dissociated, but I never realised what dissociation actually was. So when you get a flashback, when you get a bad thought, dissociation is your brain, your body's way of switching off to that bad thought. So, for example, I'll get a bad thought, I will stare into space and I will forget where I am, I'll forget who I am, I'll forget who's around me, what's around me. I will literally dissociate from the whole world and I'll have to be snapped back into it. And dissociation is really weird. You come around and it's like, what the hell just happened? I just feel like there's not enough awareness of BPD at all. When I was diagnosed with BPD, I had no idea what it was. You know, the people I loved had no idea what BPD was. I don't like opening up to people and telling people about my diagnosis, because, you know, you can imagine that, you know, the symptoms of BPD is hard for somebody else to deal with, and letting someone in with a personality disorder is crazy, because you're letting someone in, they're effectively taking on that personality disorder. They're never going to know who you're going to be. They have to learn your triggers, they have to learn how to stop your impulses, and it is a whirlwind. Like, it's a really, really, really roller coaster of emotions every single day. And I just hope that this gives you some idea of what BPD is, and hopefully it gives you that awareness of BPD. And yeah, as always, I hope you're safe, I hope you're well, and my messages are always open if you need somebody. If any of this sounds familiar, don't be afraid to message me. I'm so open about my BPD, as you can tell. So if you need somebody to talk about things like that, just message me. So I hope you're well, I hope you're safe, and keep on going. It's okay not to be okay. See you in the next one.